Chris Haynes, NBA insider, Yahoo Sports, covered the Cavs, covers the Warriors, got his Post-Up podcast with Chris Haynes. All right, we're talking about load management, and my takeaway has always been, in life, if you get leverage, you use it. He's got leverage, he's using it. But Giannis, for instance, in Milwaukee, you've talked to them recently. Budenholzer, Giannis, he doesn't like it as much. Why doesn't he like it?
He just wants to play. They actually got into it a couple times last season. Budenholzer, a disciple of Greg Popovich, School of Basketball.
Yeah.
Wants his guys rest from fresh and they were really doing load management before Kawhi became the poster child.
12 years ago.
So that was something that Giannis he's not accustomed to. He kind of fought it initially. At one point during the season when they actually sat him down, he came back and played the next game and he was a little bit off. And he went back to Budenholzer, was like, look, it's because you set me yesterday. Right. He likes to have his rhythm. He likes
Some
to
guys
practice.
like repetition.
They do. That's him. But this is what I will say about Giannis. And I was talking to the producer in the back, and it kind of got to my mind, is that Earl Watson, who Joy's fiance, had a really great point on Twitter a few days ago, talking about guys come into the league already banged up, already fatigued because all the AAU games. They play AAU games more than they play high school basketball. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, Giannis didn't really have all those games coming on up. He started basketball late. And so he doesn't have the rigor, wears and tears of a lot of other 24-year-old players. So I think that's probably a reason why he's able to go so hard and wants to go so hard. But I do think it's something to what Earl said about guys coming in already with a ton of mileage.
Now, but people are going to argue. They're going to say, yeah, but in the old days, you played 3 years of college. The game was way more physical. I mean, Michael Jordan got beat up for 9 years. The game's not as physical now. It's more of a cardio league.
It's not, but Michael Jordan, those guys didn't play a ton of high school ball. It was just high school season.
Yeah.
And AAU wasn't around back then. And so, these guys, they can play up to 40, maybe even more AAU games, depending on, and if you're one of the top athletes, you're going cross country, you're playing pick games over there, playing for USA. So there's a lot of wear on top prospects.
How about shortening the season?
And that's what I think, excuse my ear, but that's what I think has to be the most likely scenario, because I don't think games are going to be dropped in AAU in high school. So this is a different time. I know people keep saying, well, Magic and Jordan and Patrick Ewing played 82. It's a different time. There's more games being played in the offseason. So I think the NBA has to adjust. But the problem is, that's when you start talking about money, sacrificing money. And the things that went on in China right now, that's the last thing the NBA wants to do is sacrifice some money.
Lakers, Clippers, it's really funny. We were saying this. We tend to think the NBA, everybody goes, oh, I love parity. We didn't have it in the 60s. In fact, let me look this up. In the 60s, the Celtics won 11 titles. In the 80s, Lakers, Celtics were in every finals for a decade. In the 90s, Bulls had 6, Houston had 2. In the 2000s, Lakers had 4, Spurs 3. 2010 on, it was LeBron and the Warriors. And it looks like to me, Lakers, Clippers are the best 2 teams in the league. And Lakers are way better early than I thought, and the Clippers are absurdly loaded. We got a dynasty. We just don't know if it's a gold dynasty or a blue dynasty. Is that possible?
I mean, can it be both?
I mean, they look like the 2 best teams I've seen on TV.
No, look, it's those 2. I'll put Milwaukee up there with them. So I would say it's those 3 teams, and then there's a big gap before you get to the second 2 teams.
I think the gap's bigger than we want to acknowledge. That gap is Milwaukee, who doesn't have a second star. Yeah. Denver, who doesn't have a third guy. Utah, who I don't think has the defensive closer you need against LeBron. I think the gap from Clippers to Lakers is bigger than we think.
You think so, huh? I'll give you that. I'll say this: a lot of star players bailed out of doing the FIBA World Cup this summer because they felt like this was an opportunity this season where it was just wide open for everybody. And so now, if you look at it, I don't see how wide open it is.
I agree.
I see 3 teams. I'm going to put Milwaukee in there. I see 3 teams where I say those are title contending teams. I don't see that from anybody else right now. Now, this is, we're early in the season. Things could change. Injuries happen. Teams get better. But as of right now, I see the Lakers, Clippers, Bucks. That's about it.
Houston Rockets. I don't know who predicted this, but they're not good. They're not good. Offensively, they'll be kind of fine, although it looks like it's Harden's team, and then they're going back and forth. It's still there's no symmetry yet. It'll maybe get there. Defensively, they're atrocious.
Yeah.
Is it possible this was a move by Tillman Fertitta? He just bought this team. Chris Paul gets hurt. Westbrook's fascinating, but they knew deep down, analytically, he can sell tickets, but it's not going to work. It doesn't look like it works.
Look, I think most people on the outside believe what you said, that it wasn't going to work. It's selling a dream. And you can do that when you have 2 of the top 10 players in the league. You can sell a dream. Oh, if everything comes together, if the rapport just wakes up, if we get the right matchups, we'll be fine. It's just not going to work. They're going to need a lot more. To get the best out of those two, they need a better supporting cast, which I think the supporting cast is fine. They were a win away from getting to the finals with Chris Paul a few years ago.
But Chris Paul was a better defender, and he actually, you know what? When I watched Harden and Chris Paul, I kind of thought it worked because Harden was the alpha scorer. Chris wasn't. Chris is a mid-range guy. I watch this and I think this is not. It's like having 2 quarterbacks.
It's still the move still reeked a little desperation.
A little bit, yes.
I get it. They felt like they reached their ceiling with Chris Paul. They felt like
he was hurt too.
But I will say this: just imagine if they kept that team intact and Chris Paul. Chris Paul has to be healthy. Look what's going on in Golden State right now. That's the only team they couldn't get over. But then again, LA Clippers and Lakers are better. So,
are you surprised the Lakers are this good this early?
No, I'm not. I think I thought they will have a little bit longer of a learning curve than the Clippers because the majority of the Clippers roster has been together. They know how to play well.
I think Lakers look really good.
Lakers are legit.
And by the way, Danny Green, Avery Bradley, LeBron, AD. It's you watch them and you're like, oh, they're very comfortable with each other.
They're legit. I'm be interested to see how they're going to look once Kyle Kuzma is fully integrated, once Rajon Rondo is back into the fold, because LeBron is loving that point guard position. And when you bring Rondo into the fold in the 5-man rotation, the 5-man roster starting group, there's not much shooting out there. Because now you're taking Danny Green off.
No, that's fair.
And so you got to see how that dynamic shakes out.
By the way, there's a story that Andre Iguodala, it's all but done, will join the Lakers, which to me is a guy that can hit a 3, defend Kawhi a little bit, 18 minutes. Chris Haynes. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.